I'm going to be discussing trends that we've noticed throughout all of these teams and talk about some stuff that we might see going forward. So first thing I want to say right off the bat is that Amoonguss has not gone anywhere. Amoonguss is absolutely insane. Every single matchup where I saw Amoonguss being brought, it kind of just punched a hole inside of the opponent's team, specifically Riley up against Lorsi. That was a crazy match where Riley's Amoonguss was kind of able to steal the game and really position it inside of a way where Lorsi couldn't really do much. I remember there was one turn where Riley conditioned Lorsi to basically go for a Terra Water on Amoonguss, and then Riley was able to punish it by switching into his own Amoonguss, and then you could spore the Amoonguss from there, and it was great positioning from Riley's end. So the other match that I really wanted to highlight with Amoonguss was the finals. So we saw Marco use his Amoonguss up against Thiago, and it was just the champ. It was able to redirect damage to protect the Iron Hands, to protect the rest of Marco's team. It was able to get off a Pollen Puff inside of a crucial point. It was just a champ. It was able to get off a few spores, if I remember correctly. Either way, though, it just exerted so much offensive pressure. Amoonguss, such a good Pokemon. So that's the first thing, is Amoonguss is not going anywhere. It hasn't since day one. It's been a Pokemon since day one of the format inside of Series 1. Regulation B, it's been there. Regulation C, One Worlds. It's the champ. It's so good. It's so good. We're kind of in an Amoonguss dominant format, so just know that. You want to have 2 Amoonguss checks. Ideally, it's like you want to have a Pokemon with safety goggles that can offensively threaten it, and then maybe a grass type that's immune to it, or you could have a Goldango or something. If you look at that, that's kind of a trend to all these teams. Marco has his Goldango, his Amoonguss. Thiago has his Ogerpon, his safety goggles, Tornadus. David has a Goldango and a Rillaboom. Riley has his Ogerpon and his Amoonguss. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like all these teams have like one Pokemon or 2 Pokemon that are immune to Spore, and then 1 Pokemon that can offensively pressure. The only one that kind of breaks that rule is Lorsi's team, because he does not have a safety goggles on his fire type. I believe Victor has Taunt on Tornadus. So this one, yeah, it kind of breaks the rule, but not really, because like you have Taunt Tornadus, and it's like as long as Tornadus is on the board, you can just taunt the Amoonguss, so it's not going to get off a Spore on you, and you have a Rillaboom to kind of switch into it. So that's a different kind of exception to the rule. Even though you don't have an immunity, you have a Pokemon that can actively shut it down. Esteban's team is also kind of breaking that rule with Ogerpon. You do have the Terra Grass on Heatran in case you want to kind of, make it useless for a turn, but even that, it's like then you're stuck with 2 grass types, and then they can exploit that with a Terra Flying maybe. So you kind of got to be careful with Esteban's team. That's why I liked Edu's team, actually. I kind of spoke to him a little bit before the tournament. That Safety Goggles Terra Fairy makes much more sense than that Shuka Berry with Terra Grass, because even though Shuka Berry is a better item, Safety Goggles allows you to have an Amoonguss matchup where it's really in your favor, because without this, Amoonguss kind of just punches a hole, man. Amoonguss is so annoying. But if you have a Safety Goggles Pokemon and a Pokemon immune to Spore, you're good to Amoonguss. That's kind of all you really need to beat it. So Amoonguss there. That's the number 1 trend. Number 2 is the fact that Tornadus is still a very solid metagame pick right now. It's kind of dominating, where it's like a fast offense. Obviously, Marco's version of the Tornadus comp was a bit more defensive. It's like Tornadus was there as an option, but he also had the Amoonguss option to shut stuff down, which I think is why he did so good, is because his team was so flexible. He was able to really just like kind of game on his opponents, like really just like hone them down with those reads, because his team rewards reads, but he could also just play that really safe game, which I love. I love Marco's team, by the way. I'm a huge fan of his team. Marco's an excellent player, so he really showed over the weekend about just like how different he is. First time I played up against him, I had a very bad matchup, quite frankly, but that being said, it's like I had to get like 8 reads in a row to like have a chance. He just called me on like one of the turns, he just got it. I was like, dang, dude, like he's so good. And then like later on that exact same short duration, he ended up winning the Oceania International Championship, so he's very solid. The next trend I kind of want to point out is that Goldango is also everywhere. And if you notice, a lot of these Goldango teams, pretty much everyone has a Tornadus on it. It's because Goldango thrives in Tailwind. Even if you're the bulky setup one, you want Tailwind, because it's like you can outspeed Fluttermane. That's it. It's just Fluttermane is a threat to Goldango, but not if you outspeed it. Then you're a threat to Fluttermane. So, if you go a more defensive one with leftovers, or if you go a more offensive one with the choice specs, either way, you kind of want Tailwind. That's a trend to all these teams. Riley's team, it's kind of the outlier. It's like you have 2 dark types that are both 4 times weak 2 fighting type, but it's like you make up for it in the fact you have Dragonite, Amoonguss. I feel like the only like trend we can kind of pick on Riley's team is that the Urshifu plus ways to amplify its damage is very solid. So the way Riley chose to amplify its damage was with the Chien-Pao Sword of Ruin. However, Marco opted to do that with the Rain Dance. Same thing with David with the Rain Dance, Victor with the Rain Dance, and also Joseph with the Rain Dance. So if you are running Tornadus and Urshifu, you more likely than not are going to want to have Rain Dance on it. That's kind of, it seems like the comp and the way it's leaning. They also all had a grass type. Like, you could have Rillaboom or you could have Amoonguss, based on all these teams. So if you kind of want that team, it's like you kind of want to follow that comp. If you do go Rillaboom, you probably want like a Chin-Pow or something. I know David didn't have a Chin-Pow. Just kind of looking at how these teams like operate, it's like, I guess Joseph also didn't have a Chin-Pow for what it's worth. But in my opinion, you just kind of miss out on a lot of opportunity between like having Rillaboom plus Chin-Pow and Urshifu. It's just so many physical attackers, and you have like that kind of fire water to power it up, and you could slap on Arcanine Sui just like Chuppa's team. Speaking of which, Arcanine Sui, that is a Pokemon that has kind of been like dominating a lot of the metagame as well. It's won so many tournaments, straight up. It's done very, very good. I've loved it. I've seen one safety goggles, I think, do decent, but really the main thing you should be using it for is the Choice Band, because if you have it on Tailwind, it's just really cool. It's like you get up Tailwind, great. Now it's like at, basically +1 attack from the Choice Band. You outspeed everything. Just Flare Blitz, Surging Strikes, Flare Blitz, Surging Strikes, or Rock Slide. If you need it, you can click a Rock Slide. It's kind of cool. I like it. The other trend I kind of want to point out is the Iron Hands hasn't really gone anywhere. We saw it win. We saw it in two of the top 8 teams, being the Esteban's team and also Lorsi's team. So that's pretty solid. Roaring Moon offense Roaring Moon balance didn't quite do as good as I predicted it. A lot of top 16/top 32 showings, actually, like a lot of them, but it didn't really do too good into top 8. Lorsi was the only person who was playing Roaring Moon balance. Yeah, so Amoonguss, Tornadus offense everywhere. Riley's team, Dragonite Chien-Pao, I guess I should point it out, that is still a thing, but it's not quite as one-dimensional/linear as it used to be with the extreme speed sweeping stuff. You can still e-speed sweep, but I feel like the AV really kind of unlocks it to a different level, because now Dragonite's like a defensive dragon you can switch into attacks with and then get knockouts, as opposed to being forced to click e-speed and then playing to eliminate their ghosts and steel types and then going for the e-speed sweep. It's like, it's much less linear, and I love the way that Riley decided to build that. Intimidates on 7 out of 8 of these teams. That's another trend which should be noted. So like Tiago's team is definitely the outlier of all these teams, because it doesn't have Urshifu and it also does not have an Intimidate Pokemon. It was much more focused around the Chi-Yu and the Fluttermane, so those Ruin Pokemon still kind of showing their worth and their value onto these specific teams being built around their offensive capabilities. The defensive Ruin Pokemon all fell off, being the Ting-Lu and obviously the Wo-Chi, and I think the last time we saw that was top 32 Worlds from Joe UX9, but he's obviously off it now. He's on the Rillaboom train. Landorus is still a Pokemon. It's still there. It's pretty good on balance teams as well, especially on like Roaring Moon balance. It's pretty good in like those Trick Room teams as well, as we see from Esteban and Lorsi's team. But all in all, I feel like the main takeaway is that, Amoonguss is there, Tornadus offense still solid, Goldengo is very good, it's always been very good. You can run Ogerpon, it's not quite as good as we thought, because your team kind of needs to be centric around it. Like Riley powers up his Ogerpon with his Sword of Ruin, and it's just his offensive fire type, whereas on Tiago's team, it's much more focused on setting up a Swords Dance. The only Follow Me one I saw, I think the highest placing Follow Me Ogerpon was actually from Edu, which we already kind of looked at his team, which it was a Follow Me Ogerpon with utility to kind of just shut stuff down. I believe he was the Horn Leech as well. It was Horn Leech. Yep, it's like a utility set with offensive capabilities, because you have a pretty high base attack stat, and you can obviously Terra Water to amplify your Iron Cudgel damage. I like the team, but it was much more of a defensive pick with like an offensive flexibility to it. That was kind of there to like be glued to the team, redirect Amoonguss spores and stuff. Thought it was kind of cool. Oh, I saw this guy on stream. I love this team. This one's really cool. I believe this is Jamie Boyd's team. Maybe it wasn't his exact team. All I know is that Jamie Boyd was the founder of the utility Roaring Moon plus the Razor Claw Ogerpon. I thought that was such a cool idea from Jamie Boyd. I was a big fan of that. He was the inventor of like the Terra Poison Roaring Moon. Jamie Boyd, I was thinking out of the box. Love his team building. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, Breaking Swipe, Knockoff, Tailwind. It's really cool. Roaring Moon utility. My honest prediction going forward in the future is that I think this Terra Poison Roaring Moon will start to pick up even more. So it won't just be a trend. Like, I feel like people will start to evolve and make like more offensive teams with it. So the reason why I think it's pretty good is just Knockoff. That's really it. It's just like the ability to outspeed your ally and then knock them off. It just goes so hard. It's crazy, because you can knock off Spore, you can knock them off, and then you can like do extra damage to Iron Hands, like knock off plus Terra Fairy Moonblast, knock out Iron Hands. You can knock off the Splash Plate from Urshifu. You can knock off the Choice Specs from Pokemon. The list goes on and on and on. But it's like, I think that's kind of why I expect the meta to go more towards that. I would probably expect like one of those Roaring Moons to win a regional, probably an NA regional, maybe. I don't know, maybe somewhere else. But the other trend, which I kind of wanted to point out, is that Brambleghast is still alive. We see Andrew Ding's team with the Brambleghast. I believe James Beck used it, finishing 15th with the Brambleghast. So it's like, it's still alive. This was Emilio Forbes' like exact team pretty much. The only thing I think he changed was adding on Poltergeist onto the Brambleghast, because now it gets Poltergeist thanks to DLC. So it kind of ups Emilio's team. This team is just so solid. It's so good. Like, it's so offensive. Exact same thing I was talking about earlier, where it's like kind of using Tornadus to Tailwind, get Urshifu into a good position. But James opted to use a different weather. He used Sunny Day instead of Rain Dance to power up his Chi-Yu to go for like presumably overheats or to spam Heat Wave. It also powers up the Flutter Mane, so you can switch in and out with your booster energy. So you pretty much always have a Photosynthesis as long as you have the Sunny Day active. So I thought that was really cool. Love this team. That was, like I said, Emilio's team. Rillaboom's still there. Flutter Mane's still alive. We know that. Bloody, I saw this team on Twitter earlier today. I believe this is Justin Tang's team. Either way, though, Utility Screamtail, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I love it. I know Zachary Thornburg is a very, very big user of Screamtail. And this Encore Disable set, I think it's so solid. I've never been afraid of it because I only play Goldango mostly. So it's like, I'm never afraid of it personally. But that being said, it's such a solid moveset. It really is. You just shut so much stuff down. So all in all, I think that what we really should be thinking of going forward is that we know Tornadus offense is like, that is the flavor of the month. You got to have 2 checks in Amoonguss. This Roaring Moon set is really picking up the utility one with knockoff, Breaking Swipe. This one was crazy. What the heck is this? U-turn Breaking Swipe. Okay, that one I'd not expect. But outside of that, you know, it's like the other Roaring Moons like Edu's, Renzo's, probably these two. I think Big Mike used this team to win an online tournament, if I remember correctly. And I believe it was the Tailwind. Yep, Tailwind. This is a more offensive one, though. It is Tailwind with Acrobatics. So it's not the Terra Poison. These two looks like they use the exact same team. Maybe it's the same team. Let's see. Yep. Thank you for watching to the very end. If you want to work with me directly, click the link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.